Fear is one of the most powerful human emotions. While highly useful in situations where threat of immediate harm exists, it is the most debilitating and dangerous of emotions when presented unnecessarily. Fear has been used as a tactic to manipulate and control the public for centuries throughout history. When one is faced with situations that evoke fear, their rational and higher cognitive capacities shut down, making it easier for them to be manipulated. Leaders will convince the media that they are in danger, whether or not it is true, in order to gain power. Once the leaders have the public's attention, they then proceed to claim that they are the only ones capable of protecting the citizens from such threat. One of the most well-known leaders to have used this tactic was Adolf Hitler. People believe that someone like Hitler would never be able to gain power today, but current leaders are using the same tactics of fear as he did in the 1940s.
Clinton has leveraged fear in her favor by encouraging voters to imagine the disastrous results of a Trump presidency.
He has no ideas on education, no ideas on innovation. He has a lot of ideas about who to blame, but no clue about what to do. None of what Donald Trump is offering will make America stronger at home, and that would make us weaker in the world.
She wondered aloud if the nuclear codes would be safe in his hands and hinted that Black and Hispanic people might be in physical danger. In a response to Donald Trump's use of fear tactics to win the 2016 election, Hillary Clinton used the same strategy, but with the threat being Trump's presidency. She singled out certain groups of people and warned them of being in danger if she didn't win. She later stated, "I'm the last thing standing between you and the apocalypse." This was to try and exploit the power of fear. While this is not a crime for any candidate, it gives scary and exaggerating information to citizens who don't know any better, but to panic. Fear is a natural human defense mechanism and is therefore used against us by giving incorrect predictions and false hope. The instinctual reaction fear creates motivates people to do things they never would have thought of before. The thought of Donald Trump with nuclear weapons scares me to death. It should scare everyone. Without thinking of the consequences before casting their ballots, citizens across the world are manipulated through threats of disarray. This may not seem that dangerous, but Clinton, like many other presidential candidates, are using strategies similar to what dictators have used to maintain a following. No president since has deployed fear quite like Donald J. Trump. Whether it is the prospect of a crime wave at the border with Mexico or nuclear war with North Korea, President Trump has persuaded his supporters that there is plenty to fear beyond fear itself. In an interview as a presidential candidate in 2016 with Bob Woodward and Robert Costa of The Washington Post, Mr. Trump said, "Real power is, I don't even want to use the word, fear." As pointed out by numerous critics and other politicians, Trump is the most prominent example of a modern-day leader using fear in politics. In past interviews, he has declared fear as real power. By implying that chaos would break out if he wasn't elected, it provided the public with enough reason to vote for him. Fear pervades Americans' lives and American politics. Trump is a master of fear, invoking it in concrete and abstract ways, summoning and validating it. More than most politicians, he grasps and channels the fear coursing through the electorate. Messages are shown through the mock elections in the 2016 election. The off predictions proved that many people projected to vote one way voted for him. Not only was he able to manipulate the public, these tactics resulted in other candidates doing the same thing. With how common these messages of fear are being spread, it has made a new standard for candidates to gain votes. These are blatant instances of fear-mongering. Trump deliberately owns in on frightening statistical rarities, terrorist attacks against the U.S., and immigrants who are dangerous rapists, and acts like they've become the norm. Violence has actually declined over recent decades and centuries, but Trump makes it seem like the opposite has happened.
Currently, millions of Uyghur Muslims are being detained by the Chinese government for their extremist beliefs, forced to discard their religion to be more Chinese as a result of ethnocentrism. China is using the fear not just to threaten Muslims from speaking out, but is also inflicting fear onto foreign countries if they interfere. For example, the United Nations, also known as the UN, are not speaking out against China most likely because of the possibility of war or a bad foreign relation. Many other countries have kept their silence and have yet to comment. Chinese officials maintain that what they call vocational training centers do not interfere on Uyghur human rights. They have refused to share information about the detention centers and prevent journalists and foreign investigators from examining them. Muslims in these re-education camps are being brainwashed and forced away to stray from their religion. When asked why she had been detained, a Muslim woman in the camp responds, "I have serious extremist thoughts. I made my children participate in religious activities from a young age, and I didn't let them sing and dance in a cultural entertainment activity. I interfere with their personal freedom." This echoes what every Muslim has been forced to say, displaying the manipulation and power that the government has, driven by the fear of the weak. Uyghurs were gradually locked away in concentration camps for what states call transformation through education. Others have been thrown into prison or have disappeared. Witness reports of life inside the camps and detention centers have told not only of unhealthy living conditions, but also of regular violence, torture, and brainwashing. The Chinese call it re-education camps, to teach people. But if they wanted to educate, why do they handcuff people and detain Kazakhs just because they're Muslims? In reality, China aims to disperse of this ethnic group in order to suppress the diversity in their country. They want to erase the whole ethnicity, calling these acts ways of strengthening the economy. According to Omer Kanak, Executive Committee Chairman of the World Uyghur Congress, every household, every family had at least 3 or 4 people taken away. In some villages, you can't see men on the streets anymore, only women and children. All men have been sent to camps. Authorities have no documentation on these captured Muslims, and nobody knows how long these Muslims are kept in camps, causing deep concern and worry upon family members. Seeing the darkness in the hearts of humanity left a gaping hole in our society that must be accepted in order to prevent a repetition in history. Yet we still continue to allow these leaders and powerful figures to abuse their power and control unsteady populations.
Overall, leaders such as Trump, the Chinese government, and Hillary all incorporate fear into their campaign in order to gain power. China is one of the more extreme cases, yet foreign countries have been helpless in this situation countless times. In order to turn people against her opponent, Hillary portrays Trump as a danger to society, and Trump warns the people of supposed threats placed against the U.S. Whether leaders are using this fear tactic as a campaign strategy or a way to manipulate the public, the use of fear in order to gain power is a prevalent issue in today's world.
Oh, you touch my tra-la-la. My
Ding ding dong. Ding 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 dong dong dong. Ding